In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. This Sunday is the 5th Sunday of the Coptic month, and we read the miracle of the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. So please, if you have a little childless in kindergarten and they're making noise, take them to the fellowship hall so that they would be comfortable and we be comfortable too. So in this gospel we read the miracle of 5 loaves and the 2 fish. This is a custom of the church. Today it's from the Gospel of St. John, and I want to focus on the word that Jesus, he said to test Philip. Testing Philip. What is that? A test. What a test is this? It started with Jesus lifted up his eyes, and seeing a great multitude coming toward him, he said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread that these may eat?" But this he said to test him. Okay. Why is that a test? And why would Jesus need to test him? It doesn't sound fair. This is a recurrent theme in the Bible. It's a recurrent theme. That God, being with us, sometimes lead us to a place where we question, is he really with us? And if we have that trust, we always say, he shall provide. If we don't have that trust, we start worrying, being anxious. I'm going to give you a riddle. Let's start with that riddle. In this Gospel of St. John, there are 2 big miracles. I'm going to go read it with you, especially the second one, walking on water. So pay attention to the Gospels, because I'm going to have a question for you. It's in John chapter 6, and we're looking at the middle of the Gospel, of the chapter. Now when evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into the boat, and went over the sea toward Capernaum, and it was already dark, and Jesus had not come to them. Then the sea arose, because a great wind was blowing. So when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and drawing near the boat, and they were afraid. But he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." Then they willingly received him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land where they were going. They were in the middle of the sea, there was a storm, and Jesus came to them walking on water, and he said nothing about being of little faith. You're going to read this in all the Gospels. When they were alone in the boat, and they were afraid, Jesus came to them, calmed the wind. In all the Gospels, had said nothing about their faith at all. Now you go to Matthew. In another occasion, this time is a little different. In the middle of chapter 8, begins with him going into the boat. Verse 23, now when he got into a boat, his disciples followed him, and suddenly a great tempest, a storm, arose on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. So the first one, he was not on the boat, came walking on the boat, on the water to the boat. This one, he was asleep. Then his disciples came to him and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we are perishing." Once they said that, he said, But he said to them, "Why are you fearful, O you of little faith?" Now you wonder, what is the difference between the two? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. How do you solve this riddle? That one time he said nothing about their faith. He just calmed the wind and went with them into the boat. They arrived to the other side. Nothing said about their faith. And this one, he's rebuking. He rebuked them. Why? It's very simple. I think there's a major difference between the two. Okay, so let us imagine that Jesus would not say anything. I'm just going to look at the situation. He's in the boat. He's somewhere in the boat sleeping. So there is going to be a drowning. So did they think that Jesus, the Son of God who came from heaven, will die drowning? Will he die with them? Or even worse, he will watch them die and he will be okay. In either case, it is terrible. You understand the alternative? What did they think? That Jesus will die drowning? Can Jesus die drowning? Is that possible? Okay, he's not going to die drowning, but they will die drowning. Is that even possible? With he watching them? Oh, you're drowning. I don't know what to do for you. So what is the point? When he was not with them, they have the reason to be afraid. But if he is with them in the same boat, why they need to be afraid, even if the whole thing is upside and down? Even if everything is going terrible. If we see the mountains jump into the sea, but we have Jesus next to us, what's that? Nothing. So what is the test that Jesus is testing Philip on? Will they be worried and anxious if I have Jesus right here and I have 5,000 men and their families coming and he's here? And that reminds me of housewives, mothers, all of this side of the church when they have guests. Or every day, ask the mothers, what do you worry about the most every day? What's your main item of anxiety every day?
The food.
And then you go to the husband and say, what shall we cook? And the husband say, oh, I have to worry about this too. And then they say anything. But then when the food comes, they complain.
Maybe the husband will cook it.
That's another story. Keep it for another day. So, how can a person be anxious when Jesus is right here? That is a test. This is not the only time that this happened. It happened before, and God was upset, actually. I'll go with you to Exodus. Very similar situation. This echo between the old and the new. Exodus happened before. In Exodus chapter 17, especially about water. Then all the congregation of the children of Israel who came out of Egypt, now in the desert, set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the commandments of the Lord, and camped in Rephidim. But there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people contended. What does contend mean? Fought, quarreled. They gave him a hard time, contended with Moses, and said, give us water that we may drink. So Moses said to them, why do you contend with me? Why do you tempt the Lord? What's the temptation here? And the people thirsted there for water. And the people complained against Moses and said, why is it you have brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children, our livestock with thirst? They went all the way to make a conclusion. They're no more anxious. Now they understood. They are here to be killed. This is where they're going to be buried. Why is it you have brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children, our livestock with thirst? So Moses cried out to the Lord, saying, what shall I do with this people? They're almost ready to stone me. They prepare themselves. And the Lord said to Moses, go on before the people and take with you some of the elders of Israel. Also take in your hand your rod with which you struck the river, and I think it's a poor translation, the sea, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock in Horeb. Wow. God will be standing right there where the water will come from. And you shall strike the rock, and water will come out of it, that the people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. So he called the name of the place, and that's the name that's given to it, Massah and Meribah. Hebrew names. Massah means contention. Meribah is temptation. So, because they tempted the Lord, saying, so he said, Meribah because of the, Massah because of the contention of the children, contention fighting, and because of they tempted the Lord, saying, is the Lord among us or not? That's the problem. And God was not very excited about this. And actually will be remembered again and again and again. Every time God sent the prophet, he says, remember Massah and Meribah. Remember Massah and Meribah. Remember the place where you actually doubted that I'm with you. Remember that you got anxious. Even I was there. Remember that. God remembered it. God provided a lot to everyone he called. Abraham got out of his house not knowing where he's to go. Abraham was at the end of his story, said in that chapter 22, when his little boy Isaac is asking him, Father, here is the fire and here is the knife. Where is the lamb? What does Abraham say? God will provide, my son. He knows. He's talking to him. He's with him. How can God leave him? And Abraham, I think, believed that God has more tender heart as a father than he is toward his son. He said, God has been fathering me. All that tender care that he has given me all my life, and I'm now 110, 100 and some, 10 maybe, 10, 15. He says, all these years, God did never left me. And I saw the tender heartness of God. How can he leave me in that temptation, a test like this? He told me to kill my son, but I know that he's not going to leave me. So he's saying it to Isaac with a lot of faith and trust in God. He says, God will provide. And it definitely did. What happened in the story? What does the Bible tell us? When he's about to kill his son, what did the angel actually stopped him. In the icons, he's holding his hand. He said, hold your hand. Don't do it. God now saw how much you trust him, how much you trust him. To the last moment, to the last second, Abraham in his heart said, God will provide. And then he looks, and there's a ram caught with its horn in a sapak tree. And he take the ram and offer it instead of his son. When he kicked, this is even stronger. When he kicked Hagar, when she started to despise her mistress, Hagar was despising Sarah. And this is in chapter, I think it's chapter, in Genesis chapter, I would say 18, chapter 18. There's a verse here that is actually also show you how much God is with us in a way beyond our expectations too. 16, I'm sorry, here we go. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abraham, see now the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please go into my maid, perhaps I shall obtain children by her. And Abraham heeded the voice of Sarai. He listened to her. Then Sarai, Abraham's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife. After Abraham had dwelt 20 years in the land of Canaan, so he went in to Hagar, and she conceived. And when he saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her eyes. She belittled her, disrespected her in her own heart. He said, oh, this barren woman, why she should be my boss? I am better than her. I brought a child to Abraham. So Sarai started to see that. Said to Abraham, my wrong be upon you. I gave my maid into your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised. I became disrespected in her eyes. The Lord judge between you and me. I want justice. So Abraham said to Sarai, indeed your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please. He loved Sarai and wanted to make her happy. And when Sarai dealt harshly with her, the Hagar disrespected her, Sarai makes her life miserable. So Hagar fled from her presence. Now the angel of the Lord found her by the spring, a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, why have you come from? Where you come from? Where are you going? She said, I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress Sarai. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit yourself to her. And so then he gave her a promise. I will multiply your descendants exceedingly so that they shall not be counted for multitude. So he is the one who called his name Ishmael. When she is going to go again, Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had born to Abraham, scoffing, meaning making fun of Isaac, basically persecuting Isaac, giving him a hard time, as a little baby. Therefore said to Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, namely with Isaac. And the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of his son. But God said to Abraham, do not let it be displeasing in your sight because of the lad, the little boy, Ishmael. He's not a little boy, he was a teenager. Or because of your bondwoman, or because of your wife. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice, for in Isaac your seed shall be called. Yet I will also make a nation of the son of the bondwoman, because he is your seed. He is your seed. He's saying to Abraham, I love you. So Abraham rose early in the morning, took bread and a skin of water, a bag, and put it on her shoulder. He gave it and the boy to Hagar. He gave her the boy and sent her away. Then she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. It's a desert. And the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat down across from him at the distance of about a bow shot. For she said to herself, let me not see the death of the boy. As a mother, that would be very terrible to see her boy dying of thirst. So she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad, Ishmael, and he was crying out of thirst. And then the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said to her, what ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad to drink. So God was with the lad, with the boy, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an usher. Again, you see that not only Abraham, but only anyone who belongs to Abraham, God took care of, because God saw how much Abraham will be devastated if Ishmael dies. And he promised him, I'll take care of him in a miraculous way. So God not only provided for Abraham and Isaac, but he also provided for Hagar and Ishmael, who doesn't really belong in a way. And Ishmael was very jealous of Isaac. He wanted him dead. But yet, God took care of him too. Over and over and over in the Bible, it says, you stay with God, you shall be provided for, no matter what. And sometimes when you go and look at the world and say, I want to be like the rest of the people. I want to be rich. I want to be proud of myself and my kids. I don't care much about God's presence in my life. Even then, God still provides. If you're jealous of people, if you are envious, if you are sinful, one thing we say, we remember from the Bible, that He remains faithful, even when we are not faithful. He remains, because He cannot deny Himself. That's Him. The Lord is faithful. That's His nature. We By definition, we're not. Does he treat us like we treat him? I hope not. Is God fair with us? You know what will happen if God is fair with us? Terrible. God is not fair with us. He is merciful, compassionate, and loving. So sometimes he gives us a test. What's the test? What are you going to do with this situation? That's the test. And leave us to think on our own. What are you going to do with this? What should we say? What should Philip say to the Lord? You, Lord, you. I come to you. I don't have any mind. I don't have the smartness or the gifts to do what I need to do. I trust in you. Before we go to doctors, before we go to accountants or lawyers or those people that we trust in, who will always disappoint you, by the way. Always disappoint you. They can do one thing, but they cannot do the other. They can do something looking out for themselves too. But who will always look for you? Always be trustworthy, always faithful. The person that will never betray you or turn it back on you is the Lord himself. And we should never say, is he with us or not? This is very terrible. You come to church, take communion. You come out with Christ inside of you. Can I say that? Can I tell the Lord or can I tell anybody, I don't know if God is with me or not. I do just a communion. What do you believe? What do you believe? What's your faith? Is Jesus inside of you when you come out of here? Absolutely. What if we get martyred like many people in the church got shot? Can they ask, is Jesus with us or not? No, because he wanted them that day to be witnesses for him. There's nothing, not one hair that drops out of your head that is not accounted for. So what does our faith say? All things works together to the best, to those who love God. All those works together to the best of those who love God. So the test is this. The test is you're gonna go through needs. You're gonna go through temptations. You're gonna go through hard times. It must happen. It must happen so that your faith will be tested and proven and show that, Lord, you shall provide. You definitely will provide. I'm not going to trust myself. And those of us who work in service and serving God, not our own businesses, know this for sure. You know this. If you have worked in serving God in any capacity, especially like this, it's provided for. It's definitely provided for. Which leads me to say the best and the smartest way to live is to turn your own life, your own business, your own family, your own work for everybody into serving God. If you do that, there will be a complete assurance that you will provide it for everybody that you care about, provide it for whether they do well or they do not do well. This is over and over and over again in the Bible. When that faith is not available, it saddens the Lord. He is saddened. He's just not excited about this because he is excited about faith. Why do you say that he is always looking for faith? Why is he looking for faith? Because the fact is this. The first act of sin was a distrust. The first act, the first sinful act that ever happened and by humans with an act of distrust. When the devil said to the couple, did really God say that you should not eat from all these trees? And then they said, no, he just said from the tree of knowledge. And he said, the day you eat of it, you shall die. And then what does the serpent say? You shall surely not die. You will definitely not die. And you will see, you will not die. So you got a choice, either to choose this way or that way. Will I die when I eat, or I will not die when I eat? If I say I don't die when I eat, it means I don't trust him. If I say I will die, surely if God said I will die, then I trust him. So the first act is an act of distrust. So what we think would please God from us is we always to trust him. So this is what I say. Anytime you get into a trouble, say the same thing that Abraham said. When your family asks you, when your kids ask you, when your spouse asks you, how are we going to do this? Say, God shall provide. That's a beautiful word. God will provide. نقول الكلمتين بالعربي. النهارده بنقرا الاسبوع الخامس، قراءة الاسبوع الخامس الحد الخامس، واللي هي 5 خبزات السمكتين، والنهارده انا بركز على كلمه وكان يسوع يمتحن فيلبس، لانه هو عارف كان هيعمل ايه. ربنا عارف كان هيعمل ايه. فشاف 5000 شخص جايين ومعاهم عائلاتهم، جمع كبير جدا جدا كتير. 5000 ده موضوع ضخم جدا. فقال لفيلبس من اين نبتاع خبزا ليأكل هؤلاء؟ وانما قال هذا الايه؟ يمتحنوا. طب ايه الامتحان؟ ايه الامتحان؟ الامتحان ده موجود من اول الكتاب المقدس لاخره، وموجود في حياتنا برضه. لما الدنيا تزنق، لما الانسان يتزنق، لما يحس انه محتاج معونه هو مش عنده، نقول ايه؟ نقول يا ترى ربنا معانا ولا لا؟ ده خطيه كبيره جدا. زعلت ربنا في سفر الخروج اصحاح 17 قال لك ما هيموتوا من العطش، عايزين ميه. فاتخانقوا مع موسى، وبعد ما اتخانقوا مع موسى صرخ لربنا، وربنا قال له سمي المكان ده، هيسميه مسة ومريبة. مسة معناها خناقة، مريبة يعني معناها تجربة، مكان التجربة والخناقة. لأنهم قالوا إيه؟ يا ترى ربنا معانا ولا لا؟ قال لك ده زعل ربنا، وفكرهم بيها، موجودة في المزامير، موجودة في الأنبياء. فكرهم بمسة ومريبة إن هم اشتكوا وكانوا شاكين ربنا معاهم. وفي نفس الأصحاح ربنا يقول لموسى إيه؟ خد العصاية اللي ضربت بيها البحر، وخد معاك هارون وشيوخ إسرائيل، واطلع لي على الصخرة. صخرة منظرها عجيب جدا. وقال له أنا هقف قدامك على الصخرة. عجب، ربنا نفسه هيقف جنب الصخرة وهو بيضربها. وعايزين هم يقولوا بقى ربنا معانا ولا لا، بيسألوا السؤال. القصة بتاعت ربنا معانا ولا لا دي بيترد عليها من أيام إبراهيم. لما إبراهيم شافوا ربنا خايف في أرض الميعاد بعد ما سافر وساب بيته وساب أهله وساب البلد بتاعته، وطلع على أرض الميعاد، وبعد إصحاح 15 يبدأ بيقول إيه؟ يبدأ بدي: لا، قال الرب لإبراهيم لا تخف يا إبراهيم أنا ترس لك. كلام كبير جدا. ما تخافش يا إبراهيم، أنا الدرع بتاعك. يعني إيه يا رب أنت تبقى تقف قدامي بيني وبين الخطر؟ عجب. وبعدين لما في اخر القصه شفناه لما ابراهيم واخد ابنه اسحاق زي ما ربنا قال له هروح يذبحه، فاسحاق بيساله سؤال بسيط، يقول له يا رب يا بابا ادي النار وادي السكين، فين الخروف؟ سؤال منطقي، فين الخروف؟ فرد عليه ابراهيم بمنتهى الثقه وقلب ثابت وقال له ايه؟ الله يرى لنفسه يا ابني خروفا للمحرقه. وفعلا حصل. على ما هو رفع السكينه هيضرب ابنه خلاص لاخر لحظه، الملاك مسك ايده وقال له ايه؟ لا تفعل شيء باسحاق. وراح شاور له على الشجره، شجره من الشوك، وفي خروف ممسوك فيها، قرونه اتحشرت في الشجره ومش عارف يمشي. فخد الخروف وقدمه محرقه بدل ابنه. فاصبح اسم المكان جبل المريا، المكان حيث يرى الرب له خروف. جبل المريا. وشفنا برضو في القصة بتاعت إبراهيم إزاي إن مش بس هو اللي ربنا إداله في الوقت الزنقة في الامتحان، إداله المخرج وإداله الحاجة اللي محتاجها. شفنا هاجر بعد ما قررت سارة ضايقت منها جدا في الأول وطردتها ورجعت تاني، وبعد كده لما جابت العيل إسماعيل، وبعدين لما سارة جابت إسحاق، إسماعيل ابتدى يضايق إسحاق ويغلس عليه غيرة شديدة جدا. فقالت له لا، مش هينفع نعمل كده، مش هيرث ابن الجارية ده مع ابنه. فصعب الكلام في عينين ابراهيم. ربنا قال له لا، انا هاخد بالي منهم، ما تخافش، مش بتوعك، انا هاخد بالي منهم. فطرد الجارية اداها القربة بتاعت المية. قلبه جامد جدا ابراهيم. ليه؟ لانه بيثق في مين؟ ربنا، مش بيثق في بني ادمين. ففي ثقته في ربنا دي حمل الست القربة واداها العيل في ايدها وقال لها روحي، ربنا هياخد باله منكم. فراحت في الصحراء وتاهت، وهي تايهه كده الدنيا نشفت معاهم بقالهم ايام، فالميه خلصت والدنيا صحراء ومش عارفه تروح فين، ما عندهاش اي فكره انهي اتجاه تمشي فيه. فقالت احط الواد على جنب عشان لما يموت ما اشوفهوش، هيبقى منظر صعب. فحطيته وقعدت قدامه وقعدت تصلي ربنا، وهو التاني من العطش بيئن او بيطلع صوت، ما احنا ما نعرفش كان بيقول ايه. فظهر الملاك لهاجر وقال لها ايه؟ ربنا سمع لصوت الغلام ووراها المكان بتاع الميه فملت القربه وشربوا. فربنا بيدبر. بس هي لازم تمر في القصه دي، لازم نمر في الحته دي، لازم ابراهيم يمر في الامتحان، لازم فيلبس يتسال منين نجيب اكل، لازم احنا كمان نتسال هتعملوا ايه في المشاكل دي. طب الرد يكون ايه؟ لا نتعلم الرد ده. الرب يرى. ربنا هيشوف حل، هيلاقي مخرج. بدل ما اقول لا انا اروح للدكتور الاول، هنروح للدكاتره، كلنا ما عندناش مشاكل نروح للدكاتره، ولا المحامي ولا المحاسب ولا الناس اللي هتساعدنا. قبل ما اروح للجهه دي اقول ايه الاول؟ ربنا هيرى، ربنا هيدبر، ربنا هيدبر. واللغز اللي انا اديته بالانجليزي في الاول اقوله لكم تاني بالعربي. قصتين لربنا يسوع المسيح بيهدي العواصف فيهم. واحده في المعجزه بتاعت الخمس خبزات والسمكتين، راحوا في وسط الميه والعاصفه قامت جامد جدا، وراح جالهم يسوع ماشي على الميه، ما تسمعش توبيخ، ما تسمعش انه بيقول لهم ايه؟ لماذا شككتم يا قليل الايمان. الثانيه كان نايم في القارب، ولما قالوا له انت مش همك ان احنا بنغرق، الكلام بتاعهم اثبت ان هم ايه؟ بيفكروا انه هيعملوا ايه؟ هيغرقوا. ما مش همك ان احنا هنغرق؟ فراح موبخهم قال لهم لماذا شككتم يا قليل الايمان، لان مشي مع القصه دي شويه. الثاني اولانيه كانوا وحدهم، ما كانش يسوع معاهم في المركب. الثانيه هو كان نايم في المركب، بس نايم. احيانا تحس ان ربنا نايم، انت فين يا رب؟ انت نايم؟ نايم. فلما صحوه قالوا له احنا مش همك ان احنا نغرق، وكأن الموضوع ايه؟ ان هم هيغرقوا. طب هو انت فاكر ان ربنا يسوع المسيح هيموت غرقان؟ اللي خالق الكون ده كله، اللي خلق الميه، هيموت غرقان؟ ده ايه العقل ده؟ طب بلاش دي، مش هيموت غرقان، هو مش هيموت واحنا اللي في المركب باقيين هنموت، ينفع؟ ربنا يتفرج علينا كده وهو بيقول يا سلام غلابه الناس دي بتغرق، ينفع ده؟ يعني يا اما بشكك ان انا في قدرته ان هو الكائن الخالق، يا اما شاكك في محبته ان احنا هنغرق وهو يتفرج علينا. في الاثنين قال عليهم ايه؟ قله ايمان، قله ايمان. فاحنا عشان كده لما نخش في التجارب، كل واحد فينا بياخد المناوله النهارده ويطلع مين جواه؟ ربنا يسوع المسيح. قاعد في المركب بتاعتك، ينفع اقول هل ربنا معانا ولا لا؟ ما ينفعش. تزعل ربنا. مسة ومريبة تزعله، زعل لما قالوا كده هل ربنا معانا ولا لا؟ كل اللي انا بعمله ده وانا مش معاكم، طب اتاخرت ليه يا رب؟ قال عشان اجربكم، امتحنكم، يا ترى انتوا واثقين ان انا معاكم ولا لا؟ احيانا كده ربنا يختفي شويه. ماذا تختفي يا رب في ازمنه الضيق؟ عشان الامتحان. لا يا رب انت معانا، عارفين ان انت شايف كل حاجه وعارف كل حاجه وبتحبنا. الاسئله الكبيره دي، يا رب انت موجود؟ اه طبعا نصدق انه موجود. يا رب انت تقدر؟ اه اقدر. يا رب انت عارف؟ انا عارف. يا رب انت بتحبنا؟ اه بحبكم. طب امال ليه مفيش حاجه بتحصل؟ عشان اشوف انت واثق ولا لا. دايما نقول كده، الرب ايه؟ يدبر. ربنا يدبر. لإلهنا كل المجد، الاب والابن والروح.